Hi, this is Larry Jordan with another episode of HDFilmTools.com. Today we're in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, and I'm here speaking with Frank Capria, Senior Product Designer for Avid Technology. How you doing, Frank?
Oh, good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
Tell me what's going on at Avid.
Well, my timing is great. I joined the company about a week before 3.0 released.
So you had nothing to do with it.
I had nothing to do with it whatsoever, but I mean, it's actually a lot of fun. I mean, you know, we're now putting resources towards, you know, modernizing the UI a bit, but maintaining that Media Composer goodness.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so it's kind of evolution, not revolution. You know, I wasn't hired to storm the gates with pitchfork in hand.
You're now Senior Product Designer. Do you work mainly on the Media Composer? Do you work on any of the other products? Or?
Mainly on the Media Composer.
And what kind of stuff are you like? Are you addressing stuff that only is in-house, or how do you sort out all of the feature requests or things that people are asking for? It must be, you know, overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. I mean, there's a pile, there's a database of hundreds of them.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And we go through them, and it's a lot of fun because, you know, it just makes you think.
Yeah.
I do a lot of primary research. You know, I wander around, so I try to get a sense, generally, in the most broadest sense, what people are asking for. What are their big pain points? And you start to see some convergence. You start to see, like, you can build a little Venn diagram. You know, people want to do more in the timeline. You know, responsiveness was a big deal. This was before I came. But when they made the move to 3.0 and designed that new hardware, it was all about responsiveness.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean,
oh yeah,
have changed.
It's amazing, and you know, it is. I'm comfortable saying it's the most responsive nonlinear editor available. You know, I mean, and pretty much what we do is we have this huge database of them, and you know, we print them out, and then we kind of assign them, you know, like pain levels, and you can tell by the way they're written how much of a pain in the, you know, oh, this is totally horrible versus, well, it'd be nice if you, you know, you can tell. And so, you know, we mark them in, you know, it's priorities, you know, priorities like 1 through 5. And then we kind of figure out how many customers would this touch? You know, I mean, the workflows, that's what shocked me coming here. You know, I had my own world, and I worked in broadcast television. I kind of knew the feature film world. And you get here and you realize there's tens of thousands of customers, and they, you know, there's probably, it sounds cliched, but there's no two workflows that are exactly the same. But then we go down and we say, all right, how many does it touch? And, you know, we try and knock off the P1, M1s. A recent one that just came out, for example, was select left, select right in the timeline. You know, it sounds like a really simple thing. You click on, you click on the timeline, and everything to the right, every segment to the right or left of that point is selected. And it's a great way with one click and one drag to open up a space in your timeline. Something you used to have to load filler, mark in, mark out, hit edit, you know. And it doesn't sound like this huge leap forward. But, you know, you're knocking a lot of keystrokes out of people's days this way.
And that's a big deal. I mean, again, it's the tiny details in editing that really make a difference, especially when you're sitting in front of the machine for X hours a day, usually more than 12 or so. Those little features really help a lot. Okay, so I understand you're working a lot on file-based workflows. Tell me a little bit about that.
You know, what we're working towards is taking the pain out of the ingest, you know. Starting to work more, and you're seeing it with AVCI and you know, some of our XDCAM workflows. We're working natively with these codecs. You know, so there's no transcoding. You just plop it in and start editing. You know, the end goal is to just always make it more efficient. Another goal of ours, a long-term goal for Avid, is to really cut down the time between the release of a camera and the adoption of it by our customers. And our support for it in the editors. I mean, these camera companies do a great job of marketing these cameras. I mean, there was demand for red workflows before the first red cameras shipped. So a lot of what I'm working on isn't terribly sexy to talk about. It's not like, you know, I'm going to say, oh yeah, you got to just see this new purple UI with the pink buttons over here, and you know, or it's a touch screen, you know. It's architectural stuff. It's like,
but it's also about making it easier for editors to cut.
Right, can I just get this file here and start editing with it? And now these cameras, the other thing is metadata management. There are cameras now that tell you latitude and longitude, and it's like, and people want that, you know, if you're working on a, you know, say the Amazing Race, that's kind of useful data.
Sure.
And think of how it adds up. If you can cut the time in half to ingest, if you can cut it to a quarter, you know, if they can start editing right off the XD cam discs or right off the P2 media. I mean, you've changed their lives.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's gratifying about it. When an editor says, "Wow, editing's fun again," you know, when you get really pumped to get behind, you know.
Yeah.
I remember in the days of Avid 1 and 4.5, you know, I remember you'd get all, you know, psyched up to do it, though. It's like, ooh, I got to try out all these new features in 5.0. Even though there's a lot to learn, I got to do it.
And I'm a mercenary. I do it in the middle of jobs and stuff. I'm crazy.
Oh, yeah, I was like that, too. I think there's a special kind of person. I mean, that explains why we do what we do now.
Yeah, when we're sitting here talking about
right. You know, it's like, oh, I'm totally comfortable. You know, and it's funny now, I have to tell customers, you know, do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
You know, I do that with my students at BU as well. You know, it's like, oh, no, you don't do this.
Frank, Avid's a company that's been around a long time. They created the nonlinear editing market. They've owned the feature film and television market for a long time, but now there are new competitors. How is the company trying to get across to customers what I think is important, which is that film editing is not just throwing clips together, it's a craft. And there are all kinds of different types of editing. And, you know, one tool might be right for one job, and another tool might be right for another.
You know, what makes a great starter car, you know, when you're 16 or 17 or 18 years old, is not the car you're going to be driving your family around, or it's not the car you're going to be bringing to work if you're, you know, in construction and you need to haul stuff. And, you know, it is about making it clear that, you know, that we have a robust tool set for that next level of editing, for those really complex workflows. On a personal level, that's why I continue to teach. You know, that gives me firsthand exposure to how new editors embrace the product. What makes them choose Avid or another product? And it's been interesting, it's been eye-opening. It's surprising, there's this idea that, you know, students prefer, you know, Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, and, you know, then they get hooked on it forever and ever, and they love it, and we've lost them. We'll never get them back. And I'm not quite sure I buy into that, because a lot of my students do come in to my class having used a competing product, and it's not that far into the curriculum. It's, you know, it's 2 or 3 lectures. You know, and when I show them something like JKL trimming or you know, asynchronous 2 heads, 2 tails trimming, and, you know, you show them, well, look, you maintain sync by just doing this, rather than having to lock tracks and move things, and, you know, all of a sudden they realize this whole drag and drop thing, well, it's great for the first assembly maybe, but once I start crafting this thing, this isn't as precise a tool as I thought it was. And the ballistics aren't dead on. It's like, you know,
Exactly.
I hit an in, it's an in. I hit edit, it's edit. I hit stop, that's the frame it stops on. That's important. And it doesn't take that long for a student to realize that. And so, you know, for me, it's been FaceTime.
Frank, thank you very much for taking the time today to speak with us and our folks at HD Film Tools. Look forward to seeing the fruits of your labor and hope to talk to you again soon.
Well, we'll keep in touch.
Okay, thanks a lot.
It was a pleasure.